Ok, như mọi người thấy đây là ở đây là một dây chuyền xuất xứ mà đây sẽ là một tiền dầu. Nó có tác dụng là giữ trắng da nhiều mụn và nó làm cho da của chúng ta nó sạch cái bụi bẩn sâu trong cái lỗ chân lông của chúng ta.
No one could believe that a man who once had it all, fame, fortune, looks, power, would abandon the spotlight for a remote village, all because of a single glance and a heart that spoke without words. But that was Jame, the man once hailed as the golden touch of the cosmetic surgery world. Now the respected CEO of the largest woodworking workshop in Vietnam's Northwest Highlands. Jame was once the epitome of elegance and success, a cosmetic surgeon trained at the world's most prestigious universities. He glided through glittering galas and elite gatherings, where people sought him to reshape their destinies with a scalpel's precision or a syringe's promise. Time and again, the most glamorous stars of the entertainment world whispered his name, as if he held the key to their dreams of perfection. Like many young men, Jame once believed love came hand in hand with prestige. His romances were as picture-perfect as they were fleeting, delicate as morning mist. As the CEO of a thriving chain of cosmetic clinics in Ha Giang, he met many women. They were drawn to his aura, but they left when the curtain of glamour fell. Not everyone is born with the freedom to choose their path. Jame, born Nguyen Minh Jame, couldn't recall when his destiny was first mapped out for him. Even in kindergarten, adults would point and say, "That boy has the makings of greatness." At 8, his father, Peter Nguyen, sent him to an international school in Singapore. By 12, he was drilled in English, French, piano, and the art of leadership. Jame never spent an afternoon flying kites on the hillside or kicking a soccer ball with neighborhood kids. His world was one of goals and discipline. Peter Nguyen, his father, was an enigma. Rising from the poverty of the Northwest Mountains, he built a timber empire with an iron will, a razor-sharp mind, and a heart that rarely softened. To him, failure was weakness and tenderness was betrayal. When Jame was just 10, his father told him, "You can't live like an ordinary man. You must be as strong as ironwood and as sharp as a saw." To the outside world, Jame was flawless, handsome, brilliant, accomplished. But inside, he was a boy who grew up without his mother's embrace, without his father's praise, and without the chance to choose his own way. Jame defied his father's wish for him to enter the timber trade. He chose medicine, a path Peter dismissed as impractical and sentimental. Still, his father didn't stop him. "Let him fail and come crawling back," Peter said. But Jame didn't fail. He excelled, graduating with honors from a top university in South Korea, then studying advanced cosmetic surgery in the United States. Within 7 years, he was a name coveted by Asia's beauty industry. Returning to Ha Giang, he launched his own chain of cosmetic clinics. With deft hands and an innate eye for aesthetics, he transformed countless women, lifting them from self-doubt to confidence. Magazines dubbed him the Wizard of Beauty, the Golden Hand of Cosmetics. TV shows invited him to judge. Models, pageant queens, and actresses sought him not just for enhancements but to embody their dreams of iconic status. And women loved him. Jame never stayed with anyone long. They were all beautiful, captivating, famous. But none stayed, not because they weren't worthy, but because Jame didn't know how to hold on. He loved with his head, not his heart. He could make a woman swoon, but he couldn't make her believe his feelings were true. Deep down, Jame was still the boy overshadowed by a father who never praised him, haunted by a fear of failure so immense it shielded the tender parts of his soul. Then came COVID-19. No one expected an empire built on reputation and trust to crumble so swiftly. Clinics emptied, staff resigned, investments stalled. Jame spent sleepless nights trying to save his business, but it collapsed like a house of cards. In less than 6 months, he shuttered every branch, cleared out the gold-trimmed office that had once been his throne. The final news story about him wasn't a tribute but a brief note. Nguyen Minh Jame, from cosmetic star to bankrupt in the pandemic. Jame didn't cry. He watched his nameplate being pried from the door, then walked away. No friends stayed. the dazzling lovers of his past sent no messages of comfort. He returned to his sprawling suburban mansion, once alive with champagne toasts and flashing lights, alone. In the silence of 4 bare walls, James stared into a mirror. The face was still handsome, unlined, but the eyes had changed. The spark of confidence was gone, replaced by a hollow void. He called his father. For the first time in a decade, Jame returned to his hometown, the place he'd sworn he'd never call home again. A father's unspoken love. Peter Nguyen didn't say, "I'm glad you're back." He stood in his office, thick with the scent of fresh timber, and slid a business plan across the desk. "The workshop needs a leader. If you want to start over, start here."
No imbras.
No questions, no mention of the fall. James sat there, silent, but a strange peace settled over him. Perhaps his father's love was in actions, not words. He began anew in a small hillside workshop. Dressed in workman's clothes, a hat, and boots, he labored alongside the crew. No one could fathom that a man who once drove luxury cars, lived in penthouses, and dined with the elite would stoop to stack lumber. But Jame did. He learned to read the grain of wood, to breathe in the scent of sawdust, to find comfort in the hum of the saw. Memories stirred of running barefoot through the workshop as a child, eating sticky rice balls with dried fish from his mother's hands, watching his father quietly wipe sweat from his brow before returning to his ledgers. A quiet transformation. One day, as Jame hauled heavy logs with the workers, Peter arrived. He didn't address his son by name. To the crew, he said, "This is my son. If he messes up, call him out." For the first time, James' throat tightened with emotion. Peter never said, "I'm proud of you." But from that day, every morning he watched Jame work from a distance. Wordless, but with eyes that followed closely. The lesson of true worth. Jame learned that fame is merely polish. When the storm comes, only what's real endures. He had been a star, celebrated and adored, but only in the dusty workshop, living as an ordinary man, did he discover what happiness meant. And his father, the man as unyielding as the hardwood he carved, finally softened. One evening, as Jame presented the workshop's ledgers, Peter looked at him and said, "You've done it. I knew you could." Just that. But to Jame, it was the greatest reward. Epilogue. Jame was once a man of the spotlight, but in losing everything, he found what truly mattered. His father's respect and faith in himself. Some lessons come at the cost of failure. Some loves take a lifetime to recognize in a warm, steady gaze. From the ashes, Jame rose, not as a celebrated surgeon, but as a grateful son, a man who finally understood what it meant to grow up.